Hi there, this is Mark McRae, and business is about true obsession, I think. And let me give you an example. Years ago, in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was a derivatives trader, and was trying to learn. There was a company that I worked with who taught me what they knew, but it was actually quite limited. And on Amazon, I think there was about 40 or 50 books on the topic that I was interested in, and I blew through them I bought them all. I was so obsessed with what I was trying to do. I bought every piece of information that I could, and I even found old books that were written in the 1920s, 1930s by old traders to figure out if there was some kind of missing piece of information that I had. And that process of finding out all of the information wasn't done because I was trying to make money. It was really done because I needed to know everything there was about that topic. And that kind of attitude has come with me through all of the different businesses that I've owned, is I become obsessed with them. And it doesn't really matter what kind of business it is. I spoke to somebody about a month ago who sold mugs, drinking cups, mugs, who was making a lot of money. He was making like 300,000 euros per year selling mugs. But I was fascinated by the whole supply chain and how he organized it and everything else. And it doesn't matter to me what that thing is, whether it's a big business or a small business. I become fascinated by how the engine runs. I once taught a chemical engineer into allowing me to spend the day with him in a huge sugar plantation because I thought it was really interesting. How does that plantation work? And one of the interesting things was it's actually quite like the stock market. In this particular sugar plantation, they use every part of the sugar cane plant, and they have to bring the trucks in to be weighed, and that's how the plantation growers make their money. But they would listen on a CB radio. So every hour or so, the plant manager would make an announcement over the radio about how much they were paying per ton, and the farmers would wait and listen to that and then decide if they were going to bring in their crop now or later or whenever, which I thought was hugely interesting. But whatever I've done, I've been obsessed with that. I really wanted to understand it. And I heard Elon Musk the other day in an interview said he probably knows more about manufacturing cars than any other person alive, which is probably true, because he became so obsessed with what he was doing, he got right down into the minute detail of how it works. And I've always been like that. There was a time when I owned casinos, I knew every single aspect of the casino. I could build a blackjack table. I knew the material that the blackjack tables were made from. I knew the vase. I knew how the chips were made. I knew how the cash desk operated. I knew how the toilets were cleaned. I knew every single job in that business and could walk into it at any time. I didn't do that because it was a smart thing to do, which it is. I did it because I was fascinated by how that business ran. And that fascination pays off over time and I think you understand and realize that when you're speaking to somebody who has a true depth of knowledge on a topic. They really know and understand what you are talking about. And in Scotland, there's an old saying that says, a fisherman can always smell another fisherman. In other words, if you're a fisherman, you know when you're talking to somebody whether they're the real McCoy or not. So if you're not obsessed with what you're doing, maybe you should be doing something else, or you should get obsessed. You should be fascinated by it. So I consider myself to be blessed because I get to do business every day. I think it's the best career. It's the best thing that you can do, and it has the most potential. So if you are in business, then, consider yourself lucky. So if you like these talks and tips, give us a like, subscribe, or give me some feedback. Thanks for listening.